Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to Minecraft Speedrunning, the podcast.
Hi.
I am April SR, and this
I'm
is my
sorry.
co-host.
I'm Xero. I'm totally informed as to everything going on in Minecraft speedrunning. Thanks for asking.
Okay, so what interesting things have happened in Minecraft speedrunning recently? Illumina got times, and so did, Light, but that was in November. Who cares about November? You know?
November doesn't really count.
November.
I know what you mean.
That's old news, you know? So,
Yeah.
What's Illumina?
How recent is the SSG seed? Is that more recent or less recent?
It is.
I'm imagining that's forever ago.
Almost a year ago.
Okay, so that doesn't count either.
Yeah, no, that's before November, so we can't give news on that.
Right. It has to be between November and now.
Yes.
Well, the only thing that's recent that I'm aware of is the diagonal seed, which could be a breakthrough for 1,000 coal speedruns because you can find large coal veins that almost connect, that go on diagonally forever. I know that's totally a category.
Well, no,
not really,
because the thing is Beaconator.
You could still run it even if it's not a real category yet.
Okay, so you're involved in the process. Tell me about the diagonal seed.
Okay, so I actually did participate to some extent in finding the diagonal seed. So, do we want like technical details or like?
Yes, all of the details.
Okay.
This is a podcast. So, you have to go in depth.
Okay, so let's start off with the idea of how a theoretical one might work, because that's how it started. As Matthew said, "Hey, wait a second, it would be possible to maybe find a seed that does this." And it might seem like couldn't anyone have an idea like that, but it's like not all things are really possible to come out of Minecraft generators. And so he found that from digging. Sorry if I have background noise.
All podcasts have background noise.
Okay, pretend there's no background noise. It's better than Matthew's stream. Anyway, Matthew Bolin, speedrunner of Minecraft and Seed Finder, was looking at the code, and we were looking at specifically the infinite mineshaft code. That's a popular thing that people know about, and it turns out similar code is used to do all sorts of other stuff, like trees and water lakes and all the stuff that's in the diagonal world. But they have there's a slight difference in the code, which is it's just like a silly hack patch that basically makes traditional mineshaft, infinite mineshaft stuff not work. And so the idea was, what if we just did this diagonally so that we got around their silly patch? Because if you know the original infinite mineshaft is it's just an infinite line of stuff, but you know, the patch just says, oh, make all the numbers involved odd, which sounds like
it wouldn't do much, but it means it can't be zero.
It can't be zero. So if one of the numbers is 0, think of it as like if I told you 0 times y plus 1 times x equals, you know, I don't know. I'm not good at math, but pretend I was. You know what I mean? It's like a flat line.
Yeah.
But so anyway,
I think you wanted the 0 to be multiplying by the x there.
Probably, I don't know.
So that, well, that's besides the point.
Either way, it will be either a straight line in either of the two axes, and they for the mineshaft seed they had both axes found. But anyway, the idea here was we can trick it to just not worry about. You know, it seemed like, oh, it's impossible to do the traditional thing, but oh, if you do it diagonally, you'll get the next best thing. So then Matthew was looking at those equations, and he did most of the work with finagling the equations around, but was having trouble writing it down in code, so I just hopped into a call with him and transcribed what he was pitching as his idea, and then ran the code and it spit out seeds magically. So Minecraft's world generation is a lot of it's based on Java's random, but a lot of it is sort of patched together because I don't know how much y'all know about pseudo-random number generation. So first of all, it's not purely random how the seeds work, obviously, because if you put the same seed in, you get the same world. So
wait, really?
Well, I mean, so it's not really doing a random anything, is the idea. I'm doing this pitch for people who are new to random numbers and how they work in computers, because computers are the way. So
Right.
it's not random. It's something called pseudo-random, because the way computers are built, every single part of it is meant to be a predictable machine that behaves consistently. And it turns out making a machine that does everything in a calculated way spit out random numbers is not something you can really do. And you can't just say, oh, just, you know, if you just added on like a hack way to do random numbers, it wouldn't work for seeds because you need the same numbers over and over again.
Tie a dice to your computer and have it roll.
Yeah, if you put a dice inside your computer, it would work for some random things, but not for Minecraft worlds because you need a seed. And so there's the thing, Java is a programming language, and it has a built-in random thing that sort of takes care of that, and it lets you take in a seed, and then it will, if you give it a seed, like a Minecraft seed, then it will spit out a series of numbers. But it turns out converting a series of numbers directly to a Minecraft world is kind of a pain, because obviously it would be, or maybe not obviously, but it's easy, or it's on the Minecraft end, it's nicer if you could take in not just a series of numbers out, but like a whole grid of numbers, like at any XY coordinate you could get the number. So that way you could generate the world in any order you want, as opposed to having to go down the line until you hit the number you want, which is not great. So, Minecraft, or Java's random, which is done pretty professionally and competently, doesn't take care of that, and instead, that part that turns it from a seed system into a seed plus coordinates system is kind of hacked together with jank math. And so that's the part that we're attacking here. So that's why it sort of makes sense to say, you know, the fact that a diagonal world would exist is because this math that they're using to try and convert one seed to factor in the coordinates isn't really factoring the coordinates in a smart way. So if you pick the right seed, you can trick it to only look at the coordinates just on a diagonal line, if that makes sense.
Right. Or, like, eventually, to my understanding, it would repeat in every seed. It's just most of the time that's past the world border.
Oh yeah, by far. So that's a good point. A seed only has so much. Depending on how random numbers work, a seed won't give you an infinite series of random numbers. A seed for like random number generation will give you a series of usually a stupidly large number of numbers before it starts repeating. And usually that's enough to not worry about it. And so, yeah, the world would in theory repeat, like theoretically. But it's kind of like people have theorized that the universe repeats if you wait for the end of the universe. You know, it's like that sort of theory.
Well,
you wouldn't find a repeating thing in practice unless you directly set it up so it happens to be right next to itself, which is what the diagonal seed is doing. I'm not sure entirely.
That's exactly the comparison I'd use. But...
It's not a great comparison, but it's sort of similar. Is that a Minecraft world does repeat if you keep moving to this, but it takes so long to repeat that you don't notice.
You don't notice, or it just is past the world border. So
yeah, it's past
in
the world
practice,
border, so you
it doesn't
can't
have
notice.
any effect.
Yeah. And so I don't know if, I guess this is a speedrunning thing, so people are informed, but you don't encounter this in practice a lot. Minecraft worlds do have a world border, even if you don't set one. Okay, at the end.
Yeah, it's
I don't know how
30
applicable
million
that is
blocks
or not.
out. Yeah, I'll have to make sure I don't run into it in my RSG runs.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. I'm not sure exactly how diagonal seeds could affect the speedrunning setup, but if there's something that where you need a lot of like a single block, like I could definitely see this having an effect on all achievements because you need blocks of resources for beacons.
I mean,
And
the
I don't
thing
know.
is,
I'm not familiar with speedrunning that sort of thing, but
for glitchless, it certainly could. For
yeah,
glitch,
for glitch, no.
But like it places, there's what, like 40, 50 seeds like this.
Well, so there's 64 of these seeds, and they're rings of seeds. I don't know if that's not standard terminology. It's something me and Matthew have made up. But basically,
Oh right, the plus 48 or
yeah. So
plus 048 stuff.
Java random takes 48 bits of seed, but Minecraft accepts 64 bits of seed. So you might be thinking like, how does that line up? And it turns out the jank part, or some parts, or the parts that rely on the Java random, end up using only 48 bits, and only certain bits of code, mostly the biome generator, the thing that picks biomes, is what's using the full all 64 bits. Because lots of it's built off of Java random, which is only 48 bits, but then some parts of it is built custom and jank. You get the idea. So anyway, these diagonal seeds, it turns out the only part that affects the diagonal is just the 48 bits, which means I'm not sure how much viewers here are familiar with computer science bits, but you get 16 bits left over, which means about, what is that?
2 to 65536 or no?
Yeah, so you about 65. Yeah, you get about 65,000 sort of worlds for each diagonal world we find. So
so we have plenty, sorry, but they're rings, so structures are going to be similar.
Yeah. So when you're looking for seeds, if you're only looking at the diagonal seeds, you're looking at practically 0% of all of the seeds. So you have a lot less choice. You only have what is this? 4 million seeds in total, including. You have about 4 million seeds that have the diagonal shape, and a lot of those seeds are going to have really similar structures and stuff. So like if you look at the seed for like set seed glitchless, how close the stronghold is, you're not going to be able to find a stronghold nearly that close in such a seed like this.
Right.
Or being able to find things with like villages nearby or dungeons in the right spots. That sort of stuff isn't really going to work, but I'm not actually familiar with how important this sort of thing is. But if you are doing a speedrun where you need a lot of mineral or what am I thinking? Like ores. Ores are one of the things that repeats in the diagonal seed. So if that's super important for your run, this could be a new place to look for development.
So would there be a bunch of other seeds that repeat like once every 2 chunks or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. So it turns out it doesn't have to just be strictly diagonal. You could also look at like in chess how a knight moves, like to the side 2 and then to the side 1, or pretty much any shape. It turns out I think this is actually how all Minecraft worlds are generated. So like in a normal world, the repeated chunk would be like millions of blocks to the side in both the X and Z, to the point where the repeated one is probably outside of the world border. But yeah, with this setup, you could definitely look for any sort of shape. It's just that it's repeated by every chunk. So the further you go from just plain diagonal, the less impressive it's going to look. So when we wanted to find seeds for the video,
Right.
and for finding, so like if you had one that was a different shape, it's kind of harder to exploit as well, because like if you find a diamond ore in the diagonal seed, the next one is one chunk on the X and one chunk on the Z over to the side, and you have another diamond ore that you found.
So that's 32 blocks you need to break.
Yeah. And otherwise, the further you go, because it's by chunks, so one chunk and one chunk is the shortest, because you can't just do one chunk in one direction, because the odd thing that they put in, presumably to try and stop people like us from exploiting this. And then I think the other thing is they might all have to be odd just because of that odd rule. So maybe 1 and then 2 wouldn't make sense. It could be 1 and 3. I'm not entirely familiar with how the code works. Some of the stuff I said could be wrong, or like mostly correct, but not actually technically correct. But
yeah, like,
Matthew would know the details.
Consult Matthew if you need fine details of this. This is just the
if you're looking for a new route for a run, definitely do your background research before blindly believing me.
So anyway, like, I'm just wondering, because if there's a 1-2 or 1-3 offset seed, that might, like, that would open it up a lot more, so you could optimize other things like structures while still having the ores be, you know, fairly close together.
Well, so the thing is, with set seed, you kind of know where all the ores are anyway.
Right.
So I think the diagonal is really only useful if you are literally trying to optimize how long it takes to mine them all.
Right.
Because with set seed, we found, for example, one thing where it's almost continuous ores. Like you could be breaking, if you were mining underground, you could be breaking more ore than stone, like to a very insane ratio.
Right. So unless you can get something like that, it probably doesn't make enough of a difference to be worthwhile.
Yeah, and then also the thing is, the moment you pick a vector that you're looking at, which is like the way that these worlds repeat, then you've eliminated yourself to about 4 million again. So it's like we found 4 million diagonals, and if you wanted to look at one of these things that repeats 1 and then 3, you'd have 4 million of those about. So it's like you maybe double your search space, but not significantly enough.
Yeah, and then
it might not be. Yeah.
Once you get into like 1.5, 1.7, like what are you even getting from doing it at that point?
Yeah. Although I'm not entirely sure what applications of diagonal worlds are, if at all. It could be useful if there's some structure with, I don't know, like if, let's say, a chest with an ender pearl generates every however many, then even like 7 and above might be worth considering.
I mean, I don't think that many. Well,
I'm not entirely sure what generates diagonally, but I don't think any loot chests.
Yeah, I don't think any loot chests. I don't know much about population, but I don't think any loot. I mean, don't dungeons? Would dungeons repeat? I don't think dungeons would repeat, but maybe?
I haven't actually looked in one of these worlds. We can pull them up right now if you want. But...
sure, go ahead.
So I'll be looking while we keep talking.
Okay.
But do we want to talk about anything else? Any other topics?
I was thinking we could talk about like the tower strats that have started being implemented in RSG, because
right.
that category has changed a lot recently. The tower strats aren't new, but they've started actually like being used by Illumina and log out record with them.
Right, so that one's actually, you don't need to understand as much to explain what the tower strats are doing. There's not like all sorts of details with RNG. So
Yeah.
the tower strats are actually super simple in how they work. It's just stuff that's over 128 blocks away despawns from you instantly.
And then when there's less mobs, there's more room for other mobs to spawn in. So kill all the Endermen, get 128 blocks away, go back. There's more Endermen now.
So yeah, mobs spawn super fast until they hit the mob cap. So usually, like right when night starts, all the mobs come in around you, and then only when some of them despawn do more spawn in. So they kind of spawn slowly. So if you're looking for Endermen, they kind of slowly spawn. But if there's a way to clear them all and let a whole new batch come in, then that's great. And then the other thing with the tower strats is that you can set it up so that, I'm not sure exactly how the tower strats work, but you could set it up so that only the surface right near you is within 128 blocks and everything else is out, which would mean that all of the mobs that do spawn are all going to be on the surface as opposed to distributed through the surface and caves. And
right. I think that, I mean, I haven't seen any discussion of like someone adding like a block on the tower to land at about 128 blocks above the ground. So I assume that it just happens as you're falling by default, rather than
so as you're falling in, the surface is going to be the thing that's closest to you. So that is
most of the mobs spawn there.
Yeah, and it could be worth doing a little bit, but then you're not moving down as fast, and I don't know. I feel like that would be a minor optimization that is already probably not worth doing until other things are optimized.
If it were worth doing, I'd expect that it would have been implemented by now, but we should at least, like, it needs to be looked into, or we need to see if anyone else has.
Concept, yeah.
Because that, I mean, it might work, it might help a decent amount, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I actually really like those strats, and then obviously the funny part is that you're putting a bed at the top to get back up quickly, and then using death to warp up it.
Like just running around through the desert strat, like you're still loading new chunks to get new mobs to spawn in and unloading old chunks, but you just can't do it all at once by death warping to the top of the tower.
Yeah.
What I did a few runs using this. It's not very good, but you could set your spawn point just like somewhere, run 128, 200 blocks away, and then die. Which is sort of like the same idea as tower, but it's a lot less efficient. But you don't need to build a tower. It's a lot less efficient, but you also don't need to build a tower.
And then the other thing with tower is that even though you're dying, you still have a spot where you can store all the items.
Right, you just have a chest.
So running around is a little bit less helpful for that, because then when you die, you have to go back and get your items. Which
well, the idea is you run along the same path every time.
Right.
So the reason tower strats didn't get implemented until now, even though they make ender pearl hunting a lot more consistent, is that they're like, if you get like really good RNG, they're slower.
Yeah, in a theoretical perfect run, you would be able to encounter all of the Endermen that you need along the way without even needing to go out of your way, because it's RNG controlled.
Right. And
a theoretical perfect run would not involve a tower.
So runs like that, where you've just gotten all of the ender pearls like halfway through the night, they've happened a few times. But if you don't tower, like, at least half, probably closer to 3/4 of your runs die to just not having enough pearls.
Right.
And even though tower is slower, unless you like get a hella good nether. And even then, like, you can start running away, like, start hunting the stronghold as soon as you get a pearl if you're not doing a tower.
Right. You could be on the move the whole time.
So, like, so towers, like, just, people didn't do it because all that makes it look slower, but it's just so much more consistent that you can get runs to the end more often, which means you're gonna get, like, just getting more runs through means you can, like, go for runs where you actually have a good end instead of just taking whatever end you get on a, like, on the
it's
one
like
run
having
in
more
100 you get through.
It's like having 100 lottery tickets, and it's like, even though the prize is less for the one that you have 100 for, you have 100 tickets, so
Right.
sort of. This actually reminds me, I believe we have a technically better set seed, glitchless seed. So, but
Well, yeah,
the RNG is so horrible for it because you need, like,
the TAS is
blazes or something.
on the TAS is on the SSGP seed.
Right.
So, of course we have a better one.
But if you look at the TAS's route, obviously it's a TAS, but it's just not worth trying that on a normal run because
The RNG is so terrible.
yeah.
And even the execution is not easy.
Well, it's a TAS. That's usually a given.
Yeah, but like,
yeah.
like even if you get the RNG, bedless is not. I mean, look at SSGP runs; they are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of interested in seeing someone attempt that, although it's probably much less interesting to watch than I'm imagining right now.
I mean, watching the world record is cool, but it's just grinding. Like half, maybe 2/3 of runs get to the end, and then it's just you hope you get really good towers, and then when you get really good towers, the dragon just cooperates entirely.
Right.
Because, like, you're going in without any beds, so you're just pillaring up to the short towers and hoping the crystals do enough. But, like, the dragons are covering health because you don't have any projectiles whatsoever. It's just... You probably only have so many towers you can actually get on top of with the amount of blocks you have. It's just RNG hell.
Yeah, and if you over-prepare and bring too many blocks in, then we're better off just not using the seed anyway. You kind of, like, the only way to really exploit it is if you went all in and only brought just enough blocks.
And I mean,
and then
I think that it's not worth doing this, but people have actually gotten the runs where everything pays off.
Yeah.
Like,
if you're a listener to this podcast, try one run, and maybe with everyone's might combined, we'll get a world record.
It took thousands of runs for...
Surely this podcast will be so popular that there will be thousands of listeners.
Yeah. So,
welcome everybody, by the way.
The thing about SSG Peaceful is that it's just such a short category that you can just do runs over and over and over again until one works out. With, like, RSG, each run is at least a 20-minute commitment if it gets anywhere near finishing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just only play Minecraft for 20 minutes so many times.
Right.
For 3 minutes, that's more reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much less RNG when you're doing set seed for sure. Although, obviously, there are still set seed RNG factors.
Yeah. It's just like with SSG Peaceful, like the RNG is not so bad that you have no chance of getting perfect at all. You're never going to get perfect RNG for random seed, so it just comes down to what can you do with the amount of RNG you can actually get. But
well, I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing a random seed task where you RNG manipulate the random seed. I don't know if
RSG tasks is just SSG tasks, but you're limited to the 2 to the 48 seeds that can spawn randomly.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point I wanted to maybe mention. If we're interested in seeds still, which is my area of expertise to some extent.
Sure, you can talk about.
So when you hit the random button, it doesn't actually. So there's all sorts of different Minecraft worlds that it can generate, but when you hit the random button, like make a random world, it doesn't actually pick from all of the possible seeds. It only picks within. It only picks the lowest, the 48 bits.
Is it the?
I believe.
I don't think it's the lowest through the 48 seeds. I think like I don't remember because like Panda said something like that, and then I think he was like incorrect.
Well, so there's shenanigans with the way negative numbers work. I believe a random seed can get negative numbers. I'm sure it's possible, right? Have you ever made a random world and had a negative seed?
I am confident that you can, because I'm pretty sure that if you couldn't, I'd know about that.
So it's not technically the lowest 48 bits, but it is very likely almost approximated by the lowest 48 bits. But either way, it's only 48 bits of information and being spread out over the 64 bits. Basically the takeaway is that not every single seed is possible from hitting the random world button.
In fact, only 1 in every 65,000.
Yeah, so less than 1%, less than 0.1%.
Less than a tenth of a percent, yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty surprising because you'd think that random world just picks a random world, but
it's a very specific set of random worlds. Although it's still, to the 40.
It's still a large amount of worlds to the point where it's very difficult to You'd have to be a task to shenanigan it together. Although I do want to look into seeing if you can get the right time to hit the.
Please don't.
So the way it picks a random number is based on. Why is that not allowed for the rules? The way it picks a random number is actually based on the exact date and time,
like the nanosecond
that you click the thing, like down to the nanosecond ish. So that's another thing we can talk about is systems measuring time. It turns out it's not necessarily to the nanosecond, but
what? You're telling me that computer doesn't update a variable every nanosecond?
Hold on, what is in the nanosecond? I guarantee you it does, but not a counting variable.
A nanosecond is a billionth of a second.
Yeah. You have plenty of time for that.
Really?
Clock speeds is 3 times that. Like if you run at a computer, like you can run at like 3 gigahertz, let's say, and. Technically, your computer can measure down to the nanosecond, but even if you click the button at the exact right nanosecond, it's very likely that the code is going to be fast enough to keep up with whenever you click actually making a reasonable impact. Because Minecraft's running at however many FPS, and I'm not sure if it will wait till the end of the frame before processing your click, and at that point you have to get very, very, very lucky, as well as clicking at the right nanosecond.
Mm-hmm. And does your computer even register mouse inputs every nanosecond?
No, I guarantee you no.
Very unlikely to me.
Let's look it up.
I guarantee you the answer will be no.
So I just looked it up, and if you have a USB mouse, you're transferring over USB, which means yeah. No. It says 48 megahertz, so that's gonna be not at all close enough.
I mean that's only like a couple orders of magnitude off.
Well, and then the other thing is this isn't for registering clicks, but this is like for sending any amount of data over USB at all. And a mouse click is, I guess, only a bit of data, but I'm not entirely sure how protocols work for that sort of thing.
It's probably at least.
But consider in the ballpark of that area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to transfer the mouse position as well as.
Oh, right.
So I have a feeling it's much less than. So anyway, if you were actually trying to control down to the nanosecond what's going on, it's very unlikely to be possible. But I still think it would be fun to try.
So, is the offset on the nanoseconds to like when your actual inputs go inconsistent?
No.
So
sorry.
Because if it were consistent, then it might be that there's actually, if you're depending on your hardware and like the FPS of your game, a set of seeds that can be randomly generated much smaller than 2 to the 48.
Right, and then it would be a matter of getting the most frame perfect click in the world with one chance. Because the way it works is based on time, so you'd have to wait. You'd only have one specific time that would work, and then you'd have to. I'm not sure how long you would wait for it to repeat again, but
I mean, 2 to the 48 nanoseconds can't be that long.
Yeah.
I mean, well, 2 to 48 nanosecond speed. Let's consult Google.
Yeah. But and then the other thing is, it's very likely that it's not going to be consistent. My guess would be that the best way to approximate it is to round to the nearest frame.
It's about 3.5 days, 3.25 days.
Yeah, so it's and you like, if y'all are watching a speedrunning podcast, you would know, like 1 in a 60, like a specific frame.
Yeah,
is very difficult.
Doing a run that relies on getting a frame perfect trick, and you get 1 attempt every 3 days, would be awful.
Well, and it's not frame perfect. It would be pretty much a nano. I guess it.
I bet it only gets measured once a frame.
Yeah, but so then you have whatever the chance of a frame lining up with the exact nanosecond you want, which is.
I mean, I feel like
you
have
also
to
have the
account
RNG as well
when deciding for the seed.
You would have to be targeting a large range of seeds. So I actually do want to look into what sort of seeds you get in nearby in time and see if they have similar properties. Because imagine if getting seeds within a certain millisecond was like all the seeds were better. If that were the case, then maybe this would be interesting to research, but I highly doubt it.
I kind of want to keep any research on this confidential so people don't go cheating.
Is it cheating? Is it against
cheating?
The rules to time your click?
No one has a rule against it because we are
I didn't mean to click it at this certain time. I just kind of
yeah. Like, how do you enforce that? You don't.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just hoping no one ever figures out how to actually do that.
Yeah, but we do have ways of verifying whether or not you faked the seed.
Right. I mean, we can tell whether
including
it's
the system time, and not just the system time, but all
Right.
sorts of other things. So please don't try and fake the seed. We're very familiar with how that sort of stuff works.
Mhm.
But it's an interesting theoretical concept to be exploring, which I like to talk about, even if there's no hope of this applying to actual speedruns.
Right. And I mean, I sure hope it doesn't apply to actual speedruns, because that would kind of ruin random seed. But then again, then again, all the categories are ruined. Look at set seed.
How is it ruined? I'm not actually familiar with that.
Are you familiar with gas resetting?
Oh, like relogging and hoping that
like half
gas
of the time you spend running set seed doesn't get added to the timer.
Oh right, because y'all run by in-game time.
Right, you're by in-game time, which you can just like get to not count up.
Right, if most of your time is spent relogging, it doesn't actually count that, so it sucks to run. That sounds fun.
I mean, it's
Minecraft is
like,
a very
ruinable
game.
The entire strategy for the category relies on the timing method, and it's a questionable timing method.
Yeah.
Like, you do an entirely different strategy if the time were well, you wouldn't gas reset. You'd just run reset.
Oh, for sure. Which would be almost as bad, but then...
I mean, almost as bad, but it just means you have to take worse RNG.
Yeah.
Although then again, like, getting a gas at all is kind of hard, so I don't know. You might just need you to finish. Oh. It might just mean that it would be insanely difficult to even finish a run.
Which would be more... That's more like the runs we were talking about, which haven't entirely ruined categories yet.
Right.
Minecraft is a very ruinable game.
Yeah, I mean, like, if anyone really tried to just rules lawyer, like, do edge case stuff, just, like, they could ruin everything. So we're just kind of hoping no one tries to actually do anything out there.
Yeah. Although seeds are actually interesting to rule against, so that's why, like, set seed stuff is still fun on the technical side, at least. Maybe not necessarily to run. I don't usually run that sort of thing. I more look at the seeds. But I know for sure that the seeds are interesting to rules lawyer against because it's sort of set up for you not to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, random numbers, the whole way they're built is to be unpredictable, and trying to build things that predict and control them is interesting.
Right.
So, how long has it been?
It has been.
Do we have a certain
minutes.
length that we're going for?
I did not have a length in mind.
Okay, then we're doing this forever. Let's keep going.
Okay, I mean...
I hope you have the rest of your day.
My plan was to keep going until you ran out of topics.
Well, I'm not sure how many topics we have.
Lucky requested a category extensions corner.
Category extensions corner.
So let's.
Is this like new categories?
It's the category extensions leaderboard. Have you seen the category extensions?
Oh,
leaderboard?
I have not. Let's check that out.
It's basically level leaderboards, except we moved them to comply with SRC standards.
Where SRC is what?
Speedrun.com.
Ah. Oh, this is a lot of category. Hold on, let me So I have to look at this and try and figure out what's going on.
I mean, it's basically there's just a bunch of categories.
That aren't really, so we got a lot of categories.
This is basically where everything other than any percent and all achievements goes.
Yeah, how arbitrary are these?
Most of these are, I mean, full iron armor in 15 levels.
Because if we're looking to add new categories, 1,000 coal and 64 flint are my two ideas.
Okay. So for a while, people were I mean, let me just like read through some of these. We have get emerald, diamond, iron, and gold. Let's see, death percent, coal percent, mob percent, eat appo percent. Jump plus any percent, kill every mob, craft plus any percent, obtain all potions, obtain all food items, get every stair.
Every stair sounds interesting. You should make one where you have to place all the stairs and all the orientations too.
Anyways, I used to be like this.
A lot of these look very arbitrary, but one that I see is any percent RSG for 1.9 and above, which doesn't look
right. That one
actually looks like an interesting category.
Yeah, because 1.9 plus. I mean, did you do any of the co-op 1.14 RSG runs?
No, I haven't.
So basically, you can trade 32 sticks for an emerald.
Okay.
So you cut down like 6 stacks of logs, get a bunch of emeralds, get a bunch of ender pearls, and then you don't need to go ender pearl grinding at night.
Right. So is that the main strategy for these RSG runs?
I don't know. I mean, I suspect that some of these runs here, because there's 10 ranging from 5526 to 34602. I suspect that a lot of the slower ones just do the old hunt at night strat.
Right.
Like Geo squares. Geo definitely, yeah, he's cutting down trees here. I imagine the better runs are doing that. Although you could still get like sub-hour with just hunting normally, I'm sure.
Right. It's just, again, we were talking about RNG before.
Yeah, like the trading stat. The thing about the trading strat is like you should be able to get 30 or 40 times with it if you get a really good run.
Wow.
Because in theory, what you can do is raid a desert temple, then go to an acacia village and just blow up all of the houses to get logs, instead of spending 5 minutes cutting down trees.
Right.
So, like, the actual log cutting itself, optimizing that wouldn't be that helpful. But if you didn't do that and then get a good nether and a good end and a good, like, finding the portal, because the ender eyes don't lead you there anymore. They lead to, like, the start of the stronghold instead of to the portal.
Right.
So, like, in theory, you should be able to get a really, like, competitive time on 1.14, but the RNG is way worse. So
I guess it makes sense to be in its own category.
Yeah, because it's a cool alternate route, but it's not actually viable, just because of the RNG being worse.
Okay. Do we want to go through every single one of these categories? Not every category, like upper category, I don't know. And make some comments on it?
Sure, we can do that.
There's another one that I'm familiar with is all logs.
All
wood.
All woods. That's
is a funny category.
That's Matthew's favorite category.
And for people who are watching along on the leaderboard, Matthew, also known as Admiral Stapler.
Also known as 6 and FS Joe. Also
You're
known as
by Minecraft
Matthew Bolin.
Yes. Yeah. So they're actually second place on Random Seed.
Number second.
Number second. We're doing a top 10 list.
Right, so this category is you just like, I mean, set seed. It's just like you. I mean, the seed hunting was probably interesting, but you just like find a seed.
I'm assuming Matthew did that already.
Probably. I mean, yeah, they have a really optimal seed.
It's kind of funny.
I actually don't think Matthew found that one. I think someone just like came in with a really good seed for that or something.
Yeah, it's funny because in random seed, you look at the version number and they're sort of all over the place. But then if you look at set seed, every single person's playing like 1.12.
Except for all the old runs that were on 1.8 on the old seed.
I kind of like set seed how it does that. Mm-hmm. And then random seed people are sort of all over.
Right. Because it doesn't matter. Other than, like, food and stuff like that.
Okay, so I picked the first two. How about you go pick one, the next category we want to talk on? Unless you want to keep talking about all woods, which I'd be down for. It's up to you. Whatever you want. Or if you need me to pick.
Let's talk about obtain item.
Okay.
So an obtain item, you obtain one of various items.
It looks like there's only 4, or am I not doing this?
Yes, there are 4 options. There's diamond, emerald, cape.
Obtaining diamond. I'm looking at the number 1 time, and I'm kind of concerned. Is this like mining a diamond ore, or are we talking like...
No. This run is picking up a diamond out of a chest that you spawn next to. If you'll notice, the top 57 runs are all under 3 seconds.
People are very good at this. I wonder about random seed. Does anyone have that? Oh, wow.
Yeah, random seed, obviously... I mean, only 3 of these. Only 3 of these are under 3 seconds, and world record is sub 2. But
it's so funny that they're less than 2 seconds. Because if you told a friend, wow, I got diamonds so fast, usually you're not referring to less than 2 seconds.
Yeah. So like, this person got a seed where they spawned inside of a blacksmith. And
okay, what about this no structures category?
Yeah, so no structures... It used to be called mine diamond, because you'd have to actually go mining.
Yeah, it looks like they got a technicality with the creeper explosion.
Right, so it's no structures now, which means, it has to be a diamond ore, because no structures. So you blow up, you just jump into a cave and hope a creeper spawns and blows up the diamond for you, so you don't need to go get an iron pickaxe and all that.
That's very funny. I'm just watching the run right now.
Yeah, and they use the save and quit glitch too.
Is that the same thing as gas spawns?
No, that's when you reload a world. Can we ruin
that category by mentioning that you could probably gas respawn, but for... you? I'm not...
I'm sure you could, but why would you do that instead of just resetting the run? It's the same
fair
thing.
Enough, it's a short run.
You would be restarting the run either way when you force quit.
Right.
So, might as well just generate a new world. So... Stuff like cake, no structure. How is this sub 5? Where'd they get the egg?
Presumably... Oh, right, good point. So that's a fun fact, is that chickens don't lay eggs for 5 minutes. Right?
Where yeah, they don't lay eggs. So where'd they get the egg? Can
you
foxes
guys...
or something?
Do you guys want to wait for 5 minutes and then we can bring up that fun topic? Because we can answer the question in 5 minutes. That would be...
I mean, I'm
Okay, I'll be researching that in the background by watching the video.
I said
while we go to the next
speed. Okay, so what's the next one we want to talk about?
Well, we have still Emerald and Golden Apple. I'm assuming Golden Apple is just
Yeah, so it's find in a dungeon or
right.
With no structures, you need to craft it. So you're going to like get a creeper to blow up gold ore.
Right, and then you make a furnace out of the cobblestone from the blast. And then...
Right.
Okay. That again, all these runs are way more optimized than I could imagine, because I'm surprised people care about these categories. I mean,
but people do so. They're short, so you can really optimize them, but you have to grind them out still. But I mean, some people do that.
So then, Emerald, is this just villager related, or
well,
or is this similar to Diamond?
For structures, you just trade with a villager, or actually, I think now that we're in 1.14 with the village update, you just find one in a village chest.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. And then no structures, I'm sure, is just like the diamond
berries at a fox, oh no, it had an egg in its mouth. So yeah, foxes can have eggs in their mouths.
Huh.
So you do that. Wow, that's really cool, actually. That category is actually kind of interesting now.
I'm also looking at the emerald one, and it turns out foxes can spawn with emeralds in their mouth.
Oh, is that what they do? Oh, for random seed, maybe. I think for set seed. For set seed, you just get it from a chest, but.
Well, I'm looking at no structures random seed for emerald.
right. So, for no structures, you use the fox. Okay.
Right.
For a while, we had. I think at one point I wrote in the category rules for that when it was still called Mine Emerald rather, that foxes were considered a type of emerald ore. I don't think so. Because like
that's fun.
It was supposed to be like it was supposed to be no structures, but we hadn't actually renamed it at that time. It was still called Mine Emerald. And it said you had to get it from emerald ore. So I was like, well, clearly this means that foxes must be emerald ore.
Right. That's a fun thing to find in the speedrun rules.
They get bone meal from compost to make the wheat for the cake.
Huh.
Wow, this category has just changed so much in 1.14.
Yeah, I always thought that the 1.14 changes didn't really do much to the game, but it turns out it does for some runs.
Well, they don't use the crafting book to make the cake. Whatever.
That's kind of silly.
Well,
on the other end of short runs, do we want to hop over to How Did We Get Here and go to long runs? I'm assuming How Did We Get Here is longer than 4 seconds or however long these obtain item ones are, which are interesting runs. But do we want to transition or?
Sure, we can talk about How Did We Get Here. So
it looks like a lot less people have run this category.
Yeah, although there actually surprisingly is a run for RSG is 11 hours.
Wow. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm assuming very good.
I think when Matthew was doing How Did We Get Here RSG runs, he got, like, you should be able to do it in, like, 3 hours.
Okay, so S is 32 minutes. SSG is less than 2 hours.
Yeah, so like
RS is less than 6 hours, and then RSG. So
those RS runs are just bad. I think. I mean, the comment on the RS world record is proof of concept. Someone beat this.
Okay, Because I was thinking, like, setting the seed doesn't seem nearly as potent as being able to cheat in items. Pretty much. Which, that's not exactly what the lack of glitchless is to people who are completely uninformed.
I mean,
but,
glitchless
is duping items, which is pretty much cheating in items, but not exactly.
But you still need to get at least one of it, is the thing.
Right.
So you still, like, need to...
And I guess in How Did We Get Here, it's more important to find all sorts of silly items than collecting lots of this particular.
Right. So the thing that How Did We Get Here is you need... The goal of the advancement is to have every potion effect at once. So...
Not just potion effects, just all effects.
Yeah, all effects.
So it's not just a matter of brewing lots of potions, it also includes wither and levitation and silly stuff like that.
In 1.14, 1.13, I don't know. Yeah, 1.13, you need Dolphin's Grace. All these runs are 1.12.
Right, because I'm sure Dolphin's Grace is too much of a pain to get at the same time as levitation.
Yeah, that really... People have done it. There is an all advancements 1.13. I think there's like, I know Kevin did all advancements 1.12, and then someone also did a 1.14 run, RSG 40 hours long.
Wow.
But they did do How Did We Get Here in that 1.14. So, you must have seen the How Did We Get Here task that Circuit did.
No, I haven't actually.
You haven't?
Nope.
You need to watch it. You need...
Okay. Y'all will hear my live reaction to that, assuming it is less than an hour long.
It is 4 minutes an hour long, and 21 seconds long.
Let's take a look at that.
They're also the world record holder for set seed glitched in 18 minutes in game time.
Right. Okay. But this one's a task. That's the one I'm watching.
It's a task, and it's 4 minutes long, compared to like the 11 hours.
It begins with them going into a what's it called? Desert temple.
Right.
Not temple. Monument thing? Or are they using TNT strats?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I'm partially upset with this. And they took no damage because of relonging.
Why are you partially upset with this?
It hurts my soul.
But it's faster.
It's faster and it hurts my soul.
So really this category is just about collecting a bunch of wacky items really quickly.
Right.
And then, like, the thing with random seed is that you have to, like, find an end city, which is a huge pain.
Right.
Because of how rare they are. And, like, you can't reset for them because they're halfway into the run. Like, you need to have beaten the dragon by then, so...
It's not fun to reset for them.
That's an hour in, basically.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. So I guess that's why all of our random seed times are very long and people
because you have to do an entire RSG run. So, and it's in one point.
That's step one.
It's in 1.12. You can't even do the trading strats. So it's an RSG run plus getting like a bunch of weird items. I think. Do you need a notch apple?
I believe so for resistance.
Or you could get a resistance beacon.
Right.
You need the wither. Or you could bring a wither skeleton to the end, I guess.
Yeah, and that's kind of not fun.
So it's sort of like you don't actually need to. Oh yeah, and you need a beacon for
Haste?
something. Haste. You need a beacon for haste. So yeah, you do just need to kill a wither, and then probably get a second one. So that's 6 wither skulls you need to do. So it's like all bosses, which is what's the all bosses record for RSG?
Well, all bosses includes
yeah, but
one extra boss, but not that.
You still need to get the mining fatigue though. You don't need to actually kill it, but
Oh, good point.
so all bosses RSG is 2 hours, which is like that isn't a category that people have really grinded out, but I don't think the 2 hours is or 145 is awful.
I don't think that's easy to beat.
Yeah.
But...
Like, and it was by Illumina too, and Illumina's not bad at the game. So it's probably 145 for that, and then like add on 30 minutes for like the other weird stuff you need to get. Like I don't think you need a notch apple, but you need to get a pufferfish, which doesn't take that long, but like fishing RNG.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a beacon, a full power. Mm-hmm. Is it full power?
I don't. I'm watching a task, and it looks like 2 levels is what they use in the task. So,
like, what's
it
the
must
fifth?
be possible.
I don't think you need full power because 2 levels. Okay, so I mean you can get most of that gold from the ocean monument.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think a good how did we get here RSG run is gonna be about 3 hours or so, not 11.
Yeah, but extremely painful to grind out because the big RNG is in the end, which is near the end of the run.
Well, an hour run. I mean, you can do if you want to deal with getting 6 wither skulls later, then you can.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can. How long does the wither effect last from the wither?
I'm not entirely sure.
Like, could you get hit and then kill it, and then, like,
probably not. Block? It would be a couple of...
Right. Or alternatively, you could... You can't make beacons in the nether, can you?
They need sky access. I think there was a thing where you could, like, trick it to go through the bedrock ceiling. If I recall, there used to be something like that, but...
If you bring the shulker to the overworld, which isn't like too unreasonable of an idea, and then bring a wither skeleton to the overworld, you could only have to get 3 wither skulls, which is probably worth doing.
Right. Yeah, well, this category does not look to run, but it's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a really interesting category. It's just that like it's I know it's at that level where like it's like a lot harder than just doing RSG. It's still like within the realm of possibility to actually get a good time on, but it's I don't know. Because, I mean, people are still doing, like, there is the 38-hour all advancements RSG run. People will do really long stuff.
Yeah.
I might honestly try to actually do runs. Maybe next summer. I'll see if I can, like, do an all advancements 1.16 or whatever. Nice Discord call. Run RSG run.
What's going on with the Discord call?
Someone else called me.
Oh, fun. So, that concludes at least my thoughts on how did we get here. Do we want to move on to, or at least briefly mention all the rest of them, and then we can wrap up this amazing and high quality podcast?
Sure. So there's also what haven't we gone over yet? All swords, all wool, full iron armor, and 15 levels.
There's bosses. There's swords.
Oh, yeah, bosses.
There's bosses, swords, nether, wool, and iron armor 15 levels. Which I want to hear. Is there a story behind that category?
People started running it on SRL, and for some reason we decided to bring over that particular SRL category instead of like make an 8x8 square of smooth stone, or well, not smooth stone, but like
SRL
stone.
Sounds like it would have been fun.
It's an 8x8 square of what people used to call smooth stone, but that now refers to like the double slab thing. So I guess just like not cobblestone, but like stone, and an 8x8 square of glass. Which is just a weird category.
We're talking squares, not cubes, right?
Yeah, like 64 blocks in a square.
Huh.
So, yeah, that category exists, and then SRL also had a few of these are from, like, Obtain Diamond was a thing on SRL for a while.
Oh, of course.
But no, for some reason, we decided to bring over full iron armor and 15 levels in particular. Maybe because, like, on the old Google Sheets leaderboard, Israel had it, like, years and years ago.
Right. Okay, so what does a run of this look like?
I mean, depends on which subcategory you're doing.
Oh, fair enough, right? We
Essentially,
have all
like
the subcategories, the standard ones, SSG, or you have glitchless or not. You have random seed or set seed, and structured or no structure.
So,
okay.
I think set seed. I mean, the end game time is a minute 15, a minute 16 rather, by circuit. So I think what you do there is just like get iron and a bottle of enchanting in a village. And
dupe it up, right?
SSG is 210. So, what do they do here?
The video on that I can't watch for some reason, so
I can watch it fine. So yeah, they get armor from village chests, and then they mine hay bales. Oh, and then they just buy bottles of enchanting, I guess.
Yeah, from a village.
Yeah. They mine hay bales and trade it with farmers for emeralds. And then they find a... they're not even getting bottles of enchanting. They're just trading for the EXP you get from trading.
Oh, fair enough.
I didn't realize that you could get 15 levels for that so fast.
Yeah, that's interesting. New versions have all sorts of silly, funny stuff.
So, like, what does, like, RSG no structures? I mean, there's only 2 runs of this, and it looks like they're probably not that optimized, but it looks like they just go caving for iron, and then go to the nether and mine quartz.
Right, okay. This sounds like a weird category. I can see why there's runs that are not that optimized of it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
a weird one to put on your resume.
Yeah, but it's not an uninteresting category. It's just
right, like
really
my proposed
arbitrary.
64 flint category.
Oh.
64 flint.
That's an uninteresting category. I'm sorry.
So, Enter Nether got new strats. I think it was like a new seed, maybe, fairly recently.
I can imagine village changes making new things interesting for that.
I mean, no,
Well,
Enter
relatively
Nether
new.
is still on 1.11 or 1.
Oh, is it?
1.1, not 1.11.
Huh. I was
Because-
imagining that it would have to do with villagers.
Well, the thing is, it's
Because-
a 12-second run already.
Right.
Yeah, you spawn in a village and you get. Like, I think the thing is, in 1.1, you can spawn inside of a blacksmith. And you can't really do that in newer versions. That's also why, like, Obtain Diamond uses 1.1.
Oh, right.
Or
I guess you're not
something like
trading
that.
with the villagers. Because if I recall, trading with villagers was not in 1.1. Maybe just the villagers themselves.
Really? I thought trading was, like, in, like, beta 1.8 or something.
I don't remember exactly what the details are.
I'm not sure. I thought it was in 1.0 and 1.1, but maybe it was added in 1.2.
We can always load up Minecraft.
It might have been added in 1.3? I don't know.
I don't think so. Let's look it up.
Trading villagers.
Okay, Google. When did villagers trade? They
History.
You can totally answer that.
History. Yeah, it was added in 1.3.
That's what I thought. It was not 1.1. But I guess villages still generate with obsidian in the chest, which is all that matters.
Yeah, which is what you need. And iron ore. Right, iron ingot.
Right.
And then the other thing is you need the gravel pathways.
Oh, right. Recently, they're path blocks now, right?
Right,
It
instead
depends on
of
how they
gravel.
generate. That's an interesting sounding run.
Yeah, I mean, what you do is it's really just optimizing the building of the portal. And
Right.
you have
And
to
portals are
reset
not
for
that
getting flint within 2 gravel blocks.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not sure what the new strat for that was, but there was a new strat recently that let people get better times.
That's crazy.
Because like the world record was in the world record was set in November.
That's really fair.
Yeah.
So do we want to mention all wool? Or
All
go on?
wool.
How does that sound? That sounds like a dye related.
There was a new seed for all wool like just the other day.
By just the other, you mean like very recently? Wow. That sounds recent. I'm not sure exactly. how to quantify.
Like world record was set 4 days ago.
Oh wow! So 2020.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So like they did a seed hunting effort with
What does an all wool seed need?
it needs a lot of emeralds in chests and a village. Like
So they're very
they actually
village
get I think they loot 2 sunken treasures or buried treasures.
So set seed looks like 1.8. SSG is definitely 1.13. So I couldn't see treasures. 40 seconds. That's fast. Set seed glitchless looks like it's faster than set seed at this point.
They're very close.
Oh, I'm looking at real time, not in game time. I'm being a dumb. We already mentioned that Minecraft is timed by in-game time. So when I look at real time, I'm looking at the wrong list of times. Okay.
So yeah, I know Lucky like sorted through the seeds, but I don't know who wrote the program to actually generate the list.
Yeah.
What
I'm not familiar either.
I would have to track that down. I'm not sure where to. I mean, I could probably ask.
Maybe
them.
there'll be a guest on the Speedrunning podcast in the future.
We will invite whoever did the seed hunting to the podcast for our next episode to discuss the all
Guaranteed,
wolves.
we'll find them and they will be here.
I cannot guarantee they will be here, but we will invite them.
Yeah. And if you're listening, you're invited already.
Okay.
What is
sure.
All Swords like?
All
Is this
Swords?
just, or is this what it sounds like? You craft a bunch of swords?
You craft a bunch of swords. Illumina has second place with a 23. But not world record. You spawn in a village, and the village chest has 2 gold, 2 iron, and 2 diamonds. It might have 3 gold or something. So then you mine like 2 or 3 logs from one of the village houses. You get into... I think it also has like a stone pick, maybe, which you use to get 2 cobblestone from the floor.
Yeah, that's a very perfect sounding seed.
Yeah, so you just have everything you need right there.
You just have everything there because of the seed finding, and then it's just a matter of...
I don't think there was even
assembling.
like a code written to seed find this. I think people just like found the seed somewhere.
Yeah, the old-fashioned one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there could be a new effort for finding seeds.
I mean, there's not much to improve that unless you like spawn in the blacksmith.
Yeah.
And even that, like, you could save a second.
I don't recall how much effort has been put into reversing loot chests, which is the main component of this particular
Right.
mod.
I feel like that's something we don't really know how to reverse engineer. Like, I think we just check manually, maybe.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I've never seen any seed finding tech that does that, except for... Yeah, no, none at all. And then we
think that's
saved
all
the
of them.
best for last,
Oh, did we
which
have
is
one?
kill bosses.
Oh, right, kill bosses. We touched on that
I tricked
during How Did We Get Here, briefly.
Yes. You were talking about all bosses, which is the Ender Dragon and the Wither and the Elder Guardian, which is a boss. I don't know who picked that.
There's
But
been
it's a
some
boss.
discussion of adding, like, evokers as a boss. Or maybe, like, village raids.
Yeah.
I mean, village raids, like, get a boss bar. So...
I'd like to argue for charged creepers.
I don't think they're gonna get it.
It
But-
would make all bosses and charged creeper runs very, very not fun.
All death
I'm
messages.
sorry. All death messages is interesting, but if I recall, there was a death message that couldn't trigger.
Well,
So
don't,
it was
don't get
kinda-
that one then.
Right.
Yeah, the thing is, like, death by being struck by lightning.
Well, yeah, Doomed to Fall was the weird one that I don't remember how that worked.
Mm-hmm. So, there's subcategories for kill Wither and kill Elder Guardian. There's no kill Ender Dragon because that's basically any %.
Right,
Although-
these look like very optimized.
Actually, I guess it's just any % glitchless because, like, Setseed does not kill the Ender Dragon.
No? Just the Wither and Elder Guardian?
No, and any % Setseed does not kill any.
Oh, right, you skip these.
We dropped
I'm
the any
interpreting
%
what you
usually,
said wrong. Yes.
But I didn't mean Setseed
There
kill
is
bosses.
there is a trick to skip killing the Ender Dragon and still get to the credits of the game.
Right. Which you could also do that by running on like the freaking April Fool's update where everything is hearts and getting a bunch of XP. I think that should be the Setseed route, honestly.
I thought there was a rule about using major versions only.
The April Fool's Day versions count as major.
Sure.
We should honestly add a category for like all April Fool's Day versions or something.
It's just loading. You
You kind of roboted there for a few seconds. Is Xero gone? I think Xero's gone. Oh no. What do we do in case of technical difficulties? I will... one red bar. Oh, I have that too, actually. Let me try disconnecting and reconnecting. I think...
The Minecraft speedrunning pod.
Hello. I have 0 bars now, but I can hear you.
Welcome back to the Minecraft speedrunning podcast, working entirely as normal with no issues.
Yeah, no issues. Please ignore the fact that Xero sounds like a robot.
If I sound like a robot, it's your speaker's fault, not my fault.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like we wrapped everything up, so we might as well
end it here.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching the Minecraft speedrunning podcast. Leave a review on iTunes or the podcast whatever of your choice. I don't know how you
tune in
on.
the next hour for the next episode.
I don't think we're posting one in an hour.
I've heard that there might be plans for more. Who knows?
Eventually.
Don't expect I'll be the same co-host. It could be somebody else. Okay.
I don't know. I'll get someone to agree to do it. Maybe I'll get someone else on every week to discuss their experience in the Minecraft speedrunning community or something.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
What the plan looks like.
I don't know.
Thank you very much.
We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. Anyways,
I'm surprised you made it this far. If you made it this far, remember to like and subscribe and click the bell.
Yeah, and
submit a speed run to all advancements.
Run all advancements 1.15 RSG. Thanks.
Didn't we have a plan that everyone was gonna run one category once, and then we'd have an attempt? Remember to do that. Go back and finish your homework for next vlog. Okay. Thanks, and see you later.
See you.